If I didn't think I could win a Super Bowl and win MVP, I wouldn't be playing. That's the order of goals. Now, again, when talking Aaron Rodgers, there is no better voice to listen to on national television than the voice that will follow mine. This person won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, one of the few people on national TV, one of the few people in the world who can say that. James Jones led the league in receiving touchdowns in 2012, if I am not mistaken. So no more qualified name for any Aaron Rodgers conversation than the one that is about to speak. If you're ever hearing Aaron Rodgers dialogue, tune in to speak for it. So James Jones, go ahead and get it popping.
Yeah.
Are Aaron Rodgers' goals realistic?
Absolutely. My dog ready to play, too. I done seen this look on my dog before about proving people wrong. He ready to go play. But when you talk about what they have as a team, that's how you win Super Bowls, right? That's a team accomplishment, right? A really good team, but your quarterback got to play at a high level. They have the team to compete for a Super Bowl and be in that game. Now, when you talk about MVPs, obviously he's won 4 of them. The ball is in his hand every single play. I argue and debate and all that with y'all up here about Aaron Rodgers all day, every day, because I believe he's the greatest quarterback to play this game, the greatest thrower of the football that we ever seen play this game. When he is healthy, MVP is definitely a goal because Aaron Rodgers is that type talent at the quarterback spot, especially what he has around him. I love how he put it in that order because that's how it needs to go. But when you talk about the second one, the MVP, Aaron Rodgers, the ball is in his hand every single play. I think he has the ability, and he will be healthy, and he will be in that MVP conversation when this thing is all said and done. I think he's going to have that type of season.
Hey, real quick before you go, Joy.
You heard me.
No, that was a good take, but something you just got to be, like, that's not factually right. That's not true, though.
Why not?
What's not?
He's the greatest quarterback that we...
In my opinion, yep, everybody got that opinion.
How can your opinion be that?
What you mean? My opinion could be my opinion.
Come on, bro.
The greatest to ever throw this football, man. I don't care about championships, none of that.
No, you said he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Yes. You say he's the greatest thrower. Pick one.
Both of them.
See, our show don't get credibility now.
It's okay.
Oh, why?
The greatest quarter. Come on, bro.
You going off of Super Bowls. I'm not. I'm going off of players.
We will get to that in a moment. We will get to that in a moment because there is a great debate. What career would you rather have, Eli Manning or Aaron Rodgers? That's a conversation for later in the show, but C.J. Stroud will surprise you with his answer. Joy, let's focus on this question for right now. Are Rodgers' goals, Super Bowl, MVP, this season, are they realistic?
Not at all. But he should have them. And I love that he's saying this. This is exactly how he should feel going into the season. I don't want him coming into the season thinking he could just, you know, have an average season. I just want to ride off into the sunset, you know. I just really enjoy playing football. I'm not trying to hear any of that. That's not the expectations for this team. People are talking about Super Bowls. He's talking about Super Bowls. He's talking about MVPs. That's how he should be talking. Now, do I think that is a realistic goal? Because that's the question. No, I do not, for lots of other reasons. The team is constantly being brought up. This team has missed the playoffs in 13 consecutive seasons. It's still a lot. Not 30, but 13 is a lot. There's a big jump that this team has to take culturally. There's a big jump this team has to take from a coaching perspective. Having a winning season and getting to the playoffs is a huge step for the New York Jets. Now, it's not a huge step for Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets are 2 separate entities to me at this point because we haven't seen them together. We saw 4 plays, and then he tore his Achilles. So all of this is just a repeat of last year. We don't know what it's going to look like. I don't think it's a realistic goal. I think it's possible because anybody going into the season right now has an opportunity. We haven't started playing yet. But he should want to and feel like he can play at that level. Otherwise, why do we? He shouldn't be out there. He should want to. It's Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the greats. One of the greats.
Yes.
And his standard should be Super Bowl and MVP. So I don't have a problem with him saying this.
That's fair. I think it's realistic. Now, the reason I think it's realistic is I learned a long time ago, don't project my normal ability on the freakazoids. What I mean by that, I remember when I grew up in Dallas watching the Philadelphia Eagles in 2004. Terrell Owens, he broke his ankle, and it was the week 15. He came back in the Super Bowl. Family, it is extremely unrealistic to believe that you can play in a Super Bowl 5 weeks after tearing your ankle, but T.O. is a freakazoid. Cut to 2012. Well, it was 2011. Adrian Peterson, Shady, you remember this. He tore his ACL and his MCL.
Oh, no.
It is unrealistic to come back and think you're going to ball the next year. Adrian Peterson came back and ran for the second most rushing yards in the history of the National Football League, 2,097, en route to winning NFL MVP, the last time an NFL running back won MVP. That same year, Ray Lewis, he tore his tricep. Tore his tricep in week 6. It is ridiculous to think you can come back and play that season. He didn't just come back and play. He won a Super Bowl. 3 years later, Thomas Davis, linebacker, he broke his arm. Broke his arm in the NFC Championship game. Ain't no way. You're playing 2 weeks later, 13 days later in the Super Bowl with a broken arm. He put 15 staples in it, and he lined up and he dominated in a Super Bowl game in which they obviously fell short. So what I realized at that moment in time over the course of my career is freakazoids live in freakazoid athletic land. I am not that. I can't project myself onto that. I will most likely personalize it with this. It was 2013. The Philadelphia Eagles were playing the Detroit Lions. I was on that field. Everybody had to change out their spikes and put in the long tail spikes, not the person to my right.
Snow.
LeSean Shady McCoy in 8 inches of snow walked out there, and I tell y'all, I swear on everything, he played like it was 75 and sunny. I had never seen anything like it in my life. I've told Shady in private. I will tell him in public. That was the moment I realized Shady was one of those ones.
Yeah.
That was the moment.
That's when you found out?
That's when I found out. Because everybody, I swear, please go YouTube the highlights. Go YouTube the highlights. That was the moment I said, Shady is different than every other human being on this football field. I'm not saying this because he's here to my right. I've said it without Shady in my presence. Freakazoids live in a different territory than I live in. Aaron Rodgers is a freakazoid. If Aaron Rodgers can come back and win MVP and win a Super Bowl, he might be able to do that. Normal quarterbacks, heck no. Aaron Rodgers, in my mind, isn't normal.
Little freak neek. Nah, man. I get it. Hey, but look.
I get it.
Nah, the All Pro before that, didn't. Okay. The Pro Bowls. Okay. You guys missed. Okay, cool. I get you.
He said the snow.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna say Aaron Rodgers is realistic, right? Just because he's done it before, right? He's won a championship years ago, but he has won 4, MVP, so that is possible, right? And then you look at the last year's winner, Lamar Jackson. A lot of credit to him. Phenomenal player, but 4,500 yards total offense of yards, only 28 touchdowns. I think with the team he has with the Jets, he can do that. 36 passing yards, he can do that. That's reasonable. And then the Super Bowl part, I think you need to have a team, which you talked about, James, and I think they do have the team. Really, really good defense. They added some key pieces on the offense, so it is possible. I mean, anything is possible. But I think with A-Rod is him being the best player in football, I don't know if we'll get to that, right? And he don't need to be that. I think for him to win an MVP, which numbers I talked about, and then him to have a chance to win a Super Bowl, is you have a chance to win your division. I think they should win a division. I think that they are probably the most complete team in that division, right? I think Josh Allen used to be, just that the team's not the same on defense and offense. And then to have a chance, right? Like to have a chance to go against the Chiefs. Now, I would always favor the Chiefs to win a championship, but if you're just saying a realistic situation for the Jets to win a Super Bowl, I could see it. Right now, would I bet my money on that? No. But is it a possibility? I would say yes.
What's more likely? Because Super Bowl is team success, MVP, individual award. Aaron Rodgers has 4 MVPs. Only one person has more, and Peyton Manning with 5. But Aaron Rodgers only has 1 Super Bowl. Again, he has a Super Bowl with the person who's currently on this desk and has been on television, I believe, since 2014. So that means that Super Bowl was a long time ago. James, I'll start with you. What do you think's more likely? Rodgers wins the Super Bowl or Rodgers wins MVP?
Well, winning the MVP is all about you, right? The ball is in your hand every single play. You need nobody's help. I mean that, no disrespect to nobody, but you need receivers to catch and all that type of stuff. But you have to make these plays, right? And like I touched on before, Super Bowl, you need defense to help you. You need O-line to help you. You need run game to help you. You need coach to help you. You need all that. But when you're talking about an MVP, that is your talent. If Aaron Rodgers, what we seen when he won these 4 MVPs, you can give credit to LaFleur, you can give credit to the guys around him, but we seen why he won these MVPs because Aaron Rodgers is absolutely ridiculous, what you just touched on. Yeah. Just a different player at the quarterback spot. If Aaron Rodgers can get back to that, he has a chance to win MVP. He is touching the ball every play. And another thing I know about Aaron Rodgers, he's going to have all the freedom to get into any and every play he wants to get into. So whether that's checking into the run, whether that's checking into the pass, checking a pass play to a different play. He's going to have all that. He's going to have the opportunity to do that. So with that being said, MVP to me is more realistic.
Yeah, I think it's MVP by a long shot. He has 4 of them. He's only been to and won 1 Super Bowl. Only been to 1.
Only seen it once.
Oh,
Only seen it once.
You got to say that with love. You said
I mean, he won it. He did win it, and no one can take that away from him. I'm not trying to, but he also hasn't been back. And again, like James said, it requires a team, and not just a team around you and everyone doing their job and coming up in big moments and making big plays. It also requires you beating some pretty good opponents. So he ain't in the NFC anymore. He's got to get through his division, which admittedly is lighter than it has been in years past, but Josh Allen is still in the division. The Dolphins still have a good team. And then you get out of that, okay, do you feel better right now about the Chiefs winning the AFC Championship game or the Jets?
Always the Chiefs.
Always the Chiefs, obviously. What about the Bengals or the Jets?
Bengals.
Bengals. How do we feel about the Texans or the Jets right now?
TBD. Yeah.
TBD, but kind of close. Wouldn't be surprised if they ended up beating them, right?
Of course not.
Okay. Now you have the Ravens, who were in the AFC Championship game again last year. There's other teams that are going to try and keep you from getting to a Super Bowl, and then you got to win the Super Bowl. So these are way, way, way bigger aspirations than an MVP. There's a lot of things that can happen. MVP was a very interesting year last year. We can say that, right? Like there were a lot of injuries. It was the year of the backup quarterback. Obviously, Lamar had an incredible season, but there are ways that the MVP can be reached in different capacities. And if you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, this is somebody that we pay very close attention to. He obviously does not throw a lot of interceptions. He can make it look spectacular. Now, it's been a few years since we've seen him look spectacular, but we have seen him do it before. So I think the MVP is much more realistic.
Do we think the Jets have a top 10 defense?
No doubt, of course.
I do.
Oh.
And top 10 defensive mind.
Okay. The only reason why I say that is because Aaron Rodgers had a top 10 defense one time in his career.
He won a Super Bowl.
He was also 14 years younger when he did that.
One time in 20 years.
I'm saying he was
top
also
10 defense.
14 years younger when he did
had that.
He's going to be 41 mid-season,
We have
James.
a Super Bowl that Aaron Rodgers is hosting that trophy up. The one time.
Yeah.
Listen, I love it.
That's all I'm saying.
Age don't matter.
I would
Ageless wonder.
I would go for the MVP just because, what's A-Rod, 11-10 in the playoffs, that's his record? Like, that's what it is. I mean, we all can say he's a great quarterback, but he's even better in the regular season. Postseason, that's not what he does, right? And this is not me talking, this is what his number says. For him to be so great, like my man over there says, why in the postseason we don't ever see it? For you to be so great and the greatest of all time, which sounds crazy, you always getting sent home, right? No doctor, nope, just sit home. and I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of like we always speak of him in a Super Bowl manner, but why? He's only even been there once. All the great quarterbacks we ever talk about, we're not talking about winning it, but just going once? Yeah. How are you so great if you just going once and you're supposed to be the greatest? So we can go to the MVP. He's been there plenty of times, 4 times. And then I look at the last year's winner with Lamar, like 13 turnovers, 4,500 yards, 3,600 in the air, 28 touchdowns. I mean, that ain't like super great. That ain't like super hard to do. So I think A-Rod, if he had to pick one of these two, it'll be MVP.
That means somebody else. If he has them type stats, that means a lot of the quarterbacks around the league ain't doing nothing either, though.
Yeah, that's not what
I'm just saying, the last winner, right? Because one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to take no one's MVP away, right? I think Lamar's phenomenal. He won that war. He won it. I'm just saying, if you look at what won the MVP last year, the numbers, I mean, 13 turnovers, 28 touchdowns, 4,500 yards.
I think I'll summarize it. This is why I think MVP is easier. Because Lamar, I think, won it, and obviously I'm a voter. I voted Lamar as my number one player to win it last year. He won it because of the impact he had on his team. The Ravens were the best team in football. Right. And when they saw the best team in football, they beat and dismantled the best team in football, which was the San Francisco 49ers. If the Ravens were 10-7 with those same numbers, he's not winning. If they 11-6 with those same numbers, he's not winning. If Aaron Rodgers can lead the Jets to winning their division, I believe that would be the first division win since, Andy, 2002, I believe you said. If he can lead them to the playoffs for the first time since 2010, 13 years, in and of itself, that's automatically puts him in the MVP conversation. Just because of his impact. He would be able to do for the Jets what nobody's done in 13 years, what nobody's done in maybe 20 years. So now he's already in the conversation. Once he's in the conversation, Now you can dance. Now, and there's players who I've realized are disqualified. Like Purdy's disqualified. They're not going to let Purdy win it just because the narrative he got too much help. Dak Prescott, he's likely disqualified because if Dak was ever going to win it, Dak probably would have won it last year. Tua Tagovailoa, many people disqualify him because how much help he has around him. There are certain quarterbacks who, unfortunately, I don't subscribe to this notion, but just look at the jargon that was being said last year, I think are disqualified. A-Rod's not disqualified. If the Jets win the division, Shady, I think, has alluded to it, Joy's alluded to it, which they have a fair chance of doing because the Bills are going to be worse, and I think the Jets roster top to bottom is better than the Dolphins. Rodgers is instantly in the conversation for MVP.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.